we got the band back together. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday. It's 5:30 Eastern. You know what that means. It's the Hybrid Fitness Media live show. And I've got two gentlemen who started it all with me way back in 2023. Ugly Day from OFX, the Hybrid Engines, Anthony Parasini. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
How's it going?
Do I hold the record if I've been on the most shows?
Yeah, you're more than Jack Bauer. Jack Bauer had like the most ORM appearances. You've smashed the.
Yeah, because like I've done a lot.
You're a proper guy. It's funny you're wearing a Tough Mudder shirt because I was doing many Tough Mudder contents today. And so I need you to bring me back into the hybrid world because I went from not caring that much stuff about World's Toughest to now I'm completely invested. I started looking who was coming. I made a video about the course with a buddy with Jason Rulo. Anthony, I'm trying to think. Did you go when it was in Vegas?
Yeah. Well, I didn't participate, but I went because we had people running.
Right.
Both years. Well, for 2 of the years. Was it there for 2 or 3 years at Lake Las Vegas?
It was in Vegas for like 4
years.
Well, no, but it was at Lake Las Vegas, not like it was in Laughlin the other year.
I'm not even counting Laughlin. I'm just talking 14, 15, 16, 17. Maybe 17.
It was. I did 17.
Maybe actually I might have went there then 15, 16, 17.
Oh, hang on. We got another farmer fit, Dave. What are you going to do with that?
It's appropriate. Everything needs to be fit or farm or grit in some form or fashion. That's how you name your business. Fit, farm, grit, something or other.
Welcome, Farmer Fit from Down Under. Glad you're here. Anyway, let's talk about the hybrids. There were 2 races this weekend, although only one got most of the love, and part of that is my fault. I sort of forgot Madrid happened.
One of the biggest ones.
Me and Ian from UKHXR, I woke up and I was like, did we miss something? And he's like, yes. I'm like, I thought so. So should we talk about Birmingham first? Birmingham and their massive rock zones.
How big was the average rock zone time?
Is it though? Or is it just like the lap was short, so it's still 8,700? Lots of turns, maybe. You don't know. It's supposed to be,
I think it's, listen, I love to quote one of the greatest minds in our sport, Bracken, who says, anytime you post a good time, it's always going to be your fitness. It's never going to be because the course was it's like, oh, I did the work, right? Anytime the times are slower, what's wrong with these courses? The sleds are too heavy. It's too long. But if you put down a PR, it's because you did the work.
Look,
even if the courses are 2 weeks apart.
If we're looking like 3-4 years ago right now, this is a fast course. So like, is it the course? Is it the people? You don't know.
Hey, when Ryan and I PR'd in Toronto, I said it was because the course was quicker. Because in New York, we were slow because it was so hot and heat. And so we had a quicker course.
Wasn't one of you that said these were about Toronto times? Did somebody say that?
Not me, no.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Compared,
looking at both Birmingham and Madrid, the winning times were 9 seconds apart. So, are these courses the same?
They're identical. Just look at the map.
Exactly.
Jack said he actually did build it in CAD.
Yeah,
that he actually built it, and the more I think, I'm like, it can't be this. I'm actually I've been meaning to do this, and I will at some point. I'm gonna get stats. I'm gonna pretend I have an event, say I need this. I need the square footage of Hall C. I'm just gonna call a few venues and just kind of see where they're at, and then realize what the big miss is, because it can't be this hard.
Would you like to see?
Have you already done that, Anthony? Have you already done that?
I do it for all the events. Would you like to see Amsterdam?
You call them, or you just go to their website? How do you?
Both. Depends on the venue. Amsterdam was really nice. RAI or Amsterdam had a 3D walkthrough with measurements of every hall that you could look at, and like you could just go in there, take the venue measurements, figure it all out. Like I knew ahead of time what.
So what is the average square footage? Do you know that?
It just depends on the venue, because you have things like Anaheim that have giant convention halls, Las Vegas giant convention halls, Navy Pier giant convention halls, and the dimensions change per hall. So like I know, for example,
a minimum, right? There's a minimum.
Well, I mean, do you want a square course? Do you want a rectangle course? If you look at, like, just for example, RAI Amsterdam, if I remember right, I don't have it right here in front of me. It'd take me a second to pull it up, but it was like 170 meters one direction by 70 something meters the other direction. So a very rectangular course. But that way you knew, like, hey, we're going to have at least 150 meters straightaway if they make the course all the way. So it's going to be 150 meters straight with a turn that's, 50
but did
meters
they?
long.
But did they?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I've been to Toronto, I've been to Chicago, I've been to Anaheim. Those are all convention halls. What do they have in common, I guess? Do they have anything in common?
Usually it's a polished concrete floor. The convention halls all have different layouts. They're all not going to have the same dimensions in every hall. Even the Las Vegas Convention Center. Uh-oh. Did you hear me at all?
You said even the Las Vegas Convention Center.
Yeah. Even the Las Vegas Convention Center, whether you're in hall A, B, C, D, E, like, they're all different layouts. So every hall has a different layout. You just have to look into them.
Is the problem that every time HYROX gets in a bigger venue, they try to make a bigger course? When if they just settled on, say, a specific 3-lap course, they could fit it into more of the halls, and then they would know going into it, this is the square footage, this is the layout we need in order for the venue to work.
I mean, I might be different on this, but I like the different number of laps, the different loops, the big thing. I don't. You can set up the center the same way, like, and have a layout for that, but like, I like the different counting, starting points, different locations, because it gives them uniqueness to each venue. Not every Ironman's going to be the same.
If time qualifications didn't matter, then I wouldn't care either.
Well, I mean, I don't know how we're always having these same conversations, but that whole thing, well, that whole thing of every marathon's not the same, every triathlon's not the same, right? But those are outdoor events, right? So you can never repeat that, and B, the whole point of this is time-based, and can you beat your time? Nobody tries to compare. Like, people have a marathon PR, but they know Boston's different than fucking Chicago.
And this is a sport based on standardization that refuses to standardize.
There you go. That should be their catchphrase, right? Like, I've asked, would you ever change it? And what do they always say? Never. Why would you change it?
Mm-hmm. So I just think if they went for a smaller setup, right? Like, we've seen the 3-lap courses work. Toronto was almost a 3-lap.
When you say smaller, what would they be removing if you say smaller?
No, just making the lap, like the laps are consistent. I'm not talking about making like a small, less of this or less of that. I'm just saying, making it like, if you make a 3-lap course, the course is smaller, right? Compared to if you make it a 2-lap course, it's going to be bigger. It's going to take more of the venue. When they have this venue that seems to be bigger, they expand the course and they get less laps. But that gives us the variances. If you just put in the same one every time, and like I say, I'm just arbitrarily saying 3 laps, then you can fit it into almost every venue you go to, and it'll be the same every time, or as close as reasonably possible.
So, Dave, I like that they expand it as big as possible, because then there's more spectator viewing area within the center, and I can see all the stations instead of the outside.
Yeah, but at the cost of I get that, but it's at the cost of the consistency. It's at the cost of creating the fast and the slow and the variances, which, we've already pointed out the problem with that. But
so here's what Amsterdam was.
First of all, so by the way, in 2024, in
2020.9, it's, and I think the whole.
I was just going to say, in 2024, every venue should be able to do this. Should easily be able to give you a virtual tour. Nice. Go ahead.
You can call too if you want to get a blueprint of it or a.
No, but I'm saying they should, if they have a clue, like, this is not hard to do. Like, you should have
this. This hall 8 is 12,600 square meters. Okay. So it's 170 by 72. We took a little bit off. So it looks like it was about 100. You can assume you're going to get it like 160 meter straightaways on the sides versus like 60 meters around the edge here.
So how many laps do we need for that?
This right here, this venue should have been a little bit more than 2 every lap, which is what they did. Remember that first lap in Amsterdam was a little short. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's so quick," and I was like, "That's how I knew it was 850 meters the first lap, the first double lap they did from where they started."
Well, just looking at the straight times when they came in, anyone who was watching was like, "Yeah, that's fast."
Yeah. I mean, the guys were running like 220 or something.
Why?
Their first 1,000. So it was actually 850.
But can you still explain to me why you can't put the zones in order every time, which they seem to have been doing lately? But why not from the jump? Were they doing that?
Nobody knows.
I think it's part of their like franchise agreement that they get to pick their layout. So they submit their layouts to HYROX beforehand and it gets approved.
But who thinks let's not go in order as a default?
I don't know. I think if you look at more recently, like all the layouts are almost in order this year, at least.
They are. It is a question of why it took so long. Why it took so long to get there. Like I think that's Matt's question: is why did it take so long to get there? Why was that not like day one? Okay, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. We want the wall balls in the middle. Here's 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. Again, let the wall balls be the Thunderdome.
I still think you could even move that to the end. I don't know why that has to be. I don't. I still think.
I think then it matters of like when you listen. I get lost in almost every venue. Like when I come in, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna try to find. Let's say I'm trying to find Dave. I know Dave's in the course, and so I'm gonna try to follow him around. So I start following him from the pull, right? And then I kind of follow him around. And by the time I get to the end, I completely forget where I am. And I'm like, okay, did I come in behind me? Because it's not always easy, right? If I don't have my media vest on, I have to like go the same way everybody else goes. And it's like, oh, okay, I think merch is anyway. You'd think it wouldn't be that hard, but I get lost every time. That's what I'm trying to say.
Now, in fairness,
they do send out maps.
And Matt, you do tend to get a little confused at times about which zone is next or which station's next. So, I mean, let's call that a 50-50.
Right.
Hey, Matt, if you go to a different mall in a different city or something, do you always go to the information booth and look at the map, or you just try to look around at where you were?
Let's talk about this for a minute. In the 1980s, which is the time that I grew up in, okay, technology was always advancing in ways that made sense. Okay. For example, at one point we had talking soda machines. Okay. That was super cool. At one point when I walked into the grocery store, this is like late 80s. This is not even close to the 2000s. There was a map and then type the word in, or just we had a list, apples, bananas. And then it showed you on the map where that was. Why does every grocery store not have that? Just the most simple thing of like, because you look, right? But sometimes it's not on the list, right? If you're looking for oatmeal, it's typically where the breakfast stuff is. But let's say you don't know that, right? So just there should be a computer, oatmeal, basically a slightly different version of what they have when you ask the employee and you're like, hey, do you guys have any hammers left? And they go, we don't, but the store down the street does. Like, why doesn't every store have that?
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
So did you know most grocery stores nowadays have an app on your phone, and you can go to that app, and if you select your store and you type something in, it'll tell you where in the store you can find it.
That's amazing.
Albertsons has it. Smith's has it. Home Depot has it.
Okay. Is it per store? Are they all the same or not?
No. You select your store. So you download a Smith's app, right? Or Safeway app or whatever. And then you select your store. Like it'll say, which store is yours? You select that as your favorite. And every time you go there, if you go to a different store, you have to select a different store. You can type it in and it'll tell you, oh, that item is on this aisle at that store.
But if my parents or grandparents were still alive, I would say, right, but they might not do that, but they could walk up to a big screen and touch it.
Right. But you said everything progresses easier. Now it's instead of having it take up space in their store, they have it on your phone.
In fairness, I don't want the Home Depot one to have that because I like to test the Home Depot employees' knowledge.
Okay.
And I like to get them going around and see if they can find stuff. I just think it's important for them.
I don't know who Lena is, but you're killing it, Lena.
Man, base 17. Nice.
Earlier, is it a she? I can't see the picture.
I would say
Earlier,
Lena. Yeah.
shut up. You don't know. Earlier, she said artistic creativity in favor of the designer. It is Brendan. See, it's a dude. I'm on my daughter's account. Okay, well, that's not too creepy.
So it is a woman, but it's...
Everyone's right.
But again, like by the time I get out my phone and open the app, or I forgot to download it, or I deleted it when I was cleaning out my phone, now I got to download it again. Just give me a big giant screen that I can push a button on. Who remembers talking Coke machines? Please raise your hand if you remember talking Coke machines.
No.
What a thing that was.
I remember talking Chrysler LeBarons, and that's it.
They have talking refrigerators now.
Nice.
Siri, do I have any of this?
Okay.
HYROX.
Do we want to talk about athletes? Performance. 3 days of pros, as my post said.
You had what, 4, 2 in each? I guess two men at least in each of the HYROX races over the weekend. 2 elite men. Graham Holiday, Jonathan Wynn, Harry Thompson, and Tim Vinish.
Right.
And they all went under 1 hour. Almost.
Yeah, nothing substantial though. Nothing that's gonna bump them up any. I don't.
No, but I mean, if you're saying consistency of courses, the elite men, they all went 59-14 to 59-40.
All right, let's talk one event at a time, just for sake of argument, right?
Okay.
So Harry, Tim, and Charlie, these are all names we've seen before, correct? And Tony.
I don't think I've seen Charlie, but I'm sure.
I feel like I have.
Yeah, it looks actually familiar. So.
And then on the women's side, this is it Aofi? How do you say that name? She's a boxer. She's an Olympic boxer. She's won stuff for her country. She hasn't medaled in the Olympics, but she's been in the Olympics, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Right?
Oh,
there she is.
Who do you? I have the women's winner as Gabriella Moriarty.
It is Gabriella Moriarty. That's what I said. But I was just talking about. I was just talking about the various peoples.
Gotcha.
Just like we always like to see new names, old names, right? See what's going on in the race.
Well, the boxers, they do a lot of road work, right? Like they do a lot of running.
Yeah.
So it's not terribly surprising. And she, obviously is going to be strong if she's a boxer too. So, maybe it's a good fit.
But most of the big names, quote unquote, not performing because they just did it at Amsterdam.
Yeah. That's
not unless they're looking for times right now. Like I bet you next weekend will be busier between Poznan and Hamburg. People looking to secure better times for the rest of the season.
So what have you heard, Anthony, on who's going to Hong Kong? Because my thought was not many. I know Meg said she was doing them all. I'm starting to hear now conflicting reports. Have you heard lots of, few, some?
I mean, ever since the summer, I've heard people say that they're not, nobody's going to go, so you should show up there. But everybody that I ever talked to, everybody said nobody's going, so I'm going to go. So they all said they're going to go. Like, that's what I've heard, is that everybody's going to go. So.
I mean, I feel like if I was in the bottom half, I would go because like I just need every chance I can get. But if I'm in the top half or the top 3 to 4, I don't, because talk about jet lag. It's really far. It's expensive. All the above.
I mean, I don't know if people have announced it yet, but I'm sure like 4 out of the 5 auto qualifiers will probably go on the women's side. The men's side, probably again, 4 out of the 7 will probably go. And then you look at like the time qualifiers, it might roll down a little bit just based on who, like Amy said she's not going. She posted that out. So we know that's at least one spot that's going to roll down. I think there's another spot. So you're looking at like probably 2 or 3, but I don't think it's going to get much past that. And after on the men's or women's side, after these people that have an opportunity to break into the Elite 15 this weekend, since it's the last weekend this weekend, somebody like Ida Matilda Stinsgaard, who's going to race in Hamburg, like, you don't know, somebody could get bumped down. So I bet you we'll see a little bit of change this weekend, but I don't think it rolls past. I don't think it gets to 20.
I don't think it gets to 20 all year.
Yeah.
How far did it get this past time?
19.
But remember, times start to drop off. So have you looked? Because they went ahead and did it, which I'm very pleasantly surprised they took the time to do that. So I know you've looked, Anthony. Did we lose anybody? Did anybody drop down or go up?
Well, just because of new times coming in. On the men's side, like Rylan, this is his last opportunity to do it, basically, because after this Hong Kong race, he only has one time in the last year, but that time was Amsterdam that qualified him for Worlds. So he doesn't have to race to Worlds, but he's already qualified for Worlds. He won't be qualified for Las Vegas or Glasgow.
That's bizarre.
Well, that's because they're not doing auto qualifiers for the people that qualify, which is good. It gives more people opportunity.
I think it's good too, but it's just an interesting scenario.
Yeah,
but I don't think Rylan would be doing it anyway. I think Rylan.
I don't think he would either. Yeah,
he'd be more focusing on his health and getting, possibly whether he's going to run Worlds or not, rather than running extra majors. I think a lot of the men that didn't go to Amsterdam won't go to Hong Kong.
Yeah, I mean, we already know. Like Hunter said he's not. Kent said he's not. I think
Sandy.
No, Sandy said he's going there. He's going there. He's going there 2 weeks early to train in Vietnam or something with a gym, and then he's going there, and then he's doing like another 2-week camp in the Middle East after it. So it should be, I think, in Hong Kong, you'll see the top 4 men from Worlds also all compete in Hong Kong.
Nice. So JK will be there, obviously.
Well, I mean, there's only 2 elite athletes that really have this as what you consider the home race, which is kind of funny. It's still, a 9-hour flight for them, but Joanna and JK, it's a 9-hour flight as their home race.
So it is possible. Yeah, it is possible that this rolls down to 3, 4, 5 for the men.
What do you mean?
If JK and
JK and Ronkovic will be there. So I think for the men, if you want to get a world spot, you're looking at top 5.
Todd Sholos asks, what place you need to get to cover the cost of travel? Well, you need to make at least a couple grand, right? I mean, listen, it costs $1,000 to go anywhere. I mean, that's really the truth. I always think, as someone who travels a fair amount, I'm like, oh, this trip won't be that much. And then, it's like either, I know, Dave, you don't like this, but it's either Uber to the airport or park at the airport. So you're going to pay one of those on both ends, plus the food, all the meals. Like it's not cheap to travel.
It's $1,000 to $2,000 anywhere.
Right. Yeah. So going that far, the ticket itself is, I don't know how much, although I did see, there's like a 20 grand flight to Singapore where you get a whole bedroom suite, like not just a bed, but a whole bedroom suite. I was looking into that. It's pretty nice. Get your own bathroom. It's pretty sweet.
Really? I've seen those lay down seats, the private rooms.
Yeah, this is beyond that. This is a legit bed.
Oh wow. No, just like exactly what you're talking about. The cost to go anywhere. It's so if you consider Utah basically the hybrid mecca right now, because you got Rylan and Lauren here. So
how dare you?
Flying.
How dare you say that when Dave Claxton is on this call?
Well, actually, I was thinking more the people in Wisconsin are now going to start getting all of that.
I mean, I don't know how you beat that. That's a pretty big bit there. So, but they're flying over. I already know, like, flights are like $2,000 round trip to Hong Kong, and then you got like $200 a night for a hotel room. So you're looking at like another $1,200 to $1,400. Like,
so how deep pays $3,000 third place?
So 3,500 is third place.
So you need third place to come out ahead.
Third place to cover it.
What's the dollar situation over there?
What do you mean?
Well, like when I went to Toronto, my dollar went really far.
I have no idea. I've never been to Hong Kong. I don't know what
I would think it's probably pretty favorable.
Hey Siri, what is the American dollar to the Chinese yen?
Well, I think the Chinese yen is like a million to.
I found this on the web for what is the American dollar to the Chinese yen.
Hey Siri, hey Siri, how much is $1 worth in Hong Kong?
I found this on the web.
Damn it! I hate going to $1 is 7 Hong Kong dollars. It's actually 777 Hong Kong dollars.
That's lucky.
So 77 cents.
No,
77.7.
No, it's $7 is $1 American dollar.
The question is, what do things cost?
Yeah, what do things cost?
So that's bad.
Yeah.
So a tank of gas would be like $500.
Well,
right?
500. Well, probably like a tank of gas would be like about 500 Hong Kong dollars, and you just divide that by 7.77.
Okay, and then what are things genuinely like? For example, food was very inexpensive in Toronto, as I found out.
Many people here are upset at that.
Are they? I said groceries were cheap. It's my favorite trip so far.
Well, I mean, it's just because of the American dollar transition. If you just use spending Canadian dollars, it's the same. It's expensive.
How is a pack of lunch meat for 87 cents, which I can't even buy in America? How is that bad? No matter how much money.
Lunch meat for 87 cents.
Yes.
And you ate it?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Would have been checking that date, man. Because normally, like if I go to the deli and get like
their FDA regulations.
What's your inexpensive store called? It's called like Just Enough or something cheap. What's it called?
No Frills.
No Frills. Okay. I went to No Frills and I went to the lunch meat section and they had these little packets, which is perfect because like that's what I would eat for lunch. 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, man, I would have checked the date on that because I would have just like, that sounds sketchy. Because those are like,
I felt great. They were I checked the nutritional value. It was the same as the big pack that was more expensive. Trust me, I look into these things.
Because most like lunch meat at a deli is going to be like, $3 to $5.
Yeah, I didn't go to the deli. I just bought the thing off the thing. So yeah, but I also bought fruit. I bought grapes. I bought bananas. I mean, I had an amazing. That's been my favorite HYROX trip. I think so far has been Toronto.
It was good.
Look at the shiz taking shots at me. I can't wait for it to come back next year, even though it's not on sale yet. I hope it comes back the same week. I will go again.
I think it will. I think it will come back same place. But we were in Hong Kong, weren't we?
Yes. Where were we?
Hong Kong. Who's going to win?
We're already on that. We're not going to talk about Poznan or
talk about whatever you like.
Do we have a start list for Poznan?
Right. Plus my partner's my doubles partner's amazing. Thank you, Dean. You're the man. Well, we know that at least one of. Where you going, dude? Sorry.
Here, I'm gonna pull up. Okay, we do. We have a start list for Hamburg, the women. See if I can pick out any names here. Beatrice Ardelt. She was the last. She's been fringe the last couple of years on.
Yeah, that's a familiar name.
Simone Feld. She was in the last chance qualifier in Anaheim. I think she was the first place out.
Simone Feld also has a new podcast. If you like German, go check it out. I just went to go listen to it.
Anje Hardes.
Yeah.
Ancha.
Let's see.
My son is in the car yelling at somebody, it sounds like.
Jana Liebenstedt is going to be in Hamburg.
So not a bad field there. There's some good ones.
Yeah,
all the German women, it sounds like you're naming.
It'll be a strong top 5, it looks like. So far, let's see. Rebecca Nader is on the list.
Jeez.
Sabrina Rothig. She used to be a bigger name. Seen her name a few times. Ida Matilda Steensgaard.
Do you know who's definitely going to be in Poznan? Sean Noble, who is going to videotape his entire effort.
Yanni Thompson.
And swears to do better. So we're looking for you, Sean.
Wow. You look at this women's field in Hamburg, you're looking at like 7 or 8 deep that either have been or are Elite 15.
Well, the Germans are good. Germans, it's home of HYROX.
I hope for them they get a good course. They get a fair course.
Yeah, fair course.
Have they been to this city before?
Yeah, they've been to Hamburg before. There's been some good races in Hamburg. Hamburg is also, though, where the HQ was, and that's where they did the Elite 12 race. No, they won't be doing it in the same spot, but the Elite 12 race wasn't.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Poznan for a second. So then most of the athletes are going to be in Hamburg then, right? Because Poznan is Poland, which is next door, right?
Yeah. I'm looking at Hamburg right now. I'm looking at the men's. There's 9 pages of men. I'm not gonna be able to go through this fast. So, I didn't realize this was up. I would have gone through it earlier.
All right, why don't you go through it, and Dave and I will talk about DEKA related things or something.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy hard to go through all of them because there's like a HYROX every week now.
Yeah.
Like
now we're kicking it. Now we're kicking into high gear. Yeah.
Like it's hard to keep up who's where and who's doing what. Like, and then when you obviously, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if they put the order of the start list with pre-run times in that order?
Now you're getting crazy, Dave.
Well,
now you're.
I just named like 9 women in Hamburg that it should be in Heat 1, and they have their start times on here. I didn't check if they are.
Not a chance.
But those 9 women should definitely be like, hey, Heat 1.
And that would be super entertaining.
Oh, yeah. Do you think there'll be a live stream of these at all?
No.
Not unless Ian K goes there, and I don't think he is.
Yeah, somebody doing their own little private live stream, but not a big one. I mean, that's just not going to happen. I would be very excited. I'd watch the hell out of that.
Oh, yeah. I've stayed up till 2, 3, 4 a.m. Hong Kong's going to be at like 4 a.m. for me, so...
I'll just be waking up. It'll be great.
Yeah.
I'll just be getting back from the factory myself.
The factory?
Yeah.
Matt will just be reviewing his internet bill, asking what's going on.
Dude, can we talk about why I was up last night?
Go for it.
Dude, I'm a pretty good sleeper, okay? I take melatonin, which helps me sleep. Also, my mental health meds are like make me tired usually. That's why I don't take them during the day. I only take them at night. So if I wake up, I don't even look at the clock anymore. We don't have a clock in our room. I try to keep the phone far away. So I just have my watch. So I don't look at my watch because I don't want it to be 2 a.m. If it's 5, you're like, oh, it's only 5. It's fine. If it's 2, you're like, fuck. So I don't look. And I woke up and I couldn't get back to sleep, and I'm tossing and I'm turning, I'm tossing and turning. And finally I just fucking get up. So and then getting online isn't a good idea because all it's going to do is like make you ask more questions. But who's online but Anthony Parasini going, Matt, why are you awake? I'm like, why are you awake? I know you're 2 hours behind me, but why are you awake? So what's your excuse?
It was 1 a.m. I was just about to go to bed.
All right. So yeah, so it wasn't fun. So then of course my kids, like Jackson talks like he's in the gym, I guess. Like it's never just like, hey mom, can we blah blah. It's like mom. It's like, your dad's trying to sleep. He doesn't give a fuck.
No.
I'm gonna pull up the cities that we're gonna be in. This is gonna be an exciting thing. Add page. There we go.
So I just went through all the Hamburg men, and I hope I'm not offending anybody. I didn't see anybody's name that I recognize. I was going through it pretty quick. So the women in Hamburg looks like it's going to be stacked. The men, I just didn't recognize anybody's name.
The men are going to Poland.
Yeah. Well, maybe that could be probably it. I'm looking at Poland right now, but unfortunately for Poland, they don't have it broken up by gender yet. So it's just you have to look at everybody. So I'm looking at 13 pages of people right now. I'm trying to see if I recognize any names.
You're far more diligent than I would. I would have gave up long ago.
No. Just got to be quick, fast reading.
All right. So I just pulled up a schedule here for the next several weeks. This is exciting. You ready for this?
Yep.
Hang on.
That
was a pretty bird in the background there.
That was awesome. It was like a pot. It's like, hang on. And we had the birds in the background. Might as well have been crickets. Would have been better.
Do a fucking screenshot because I can't do this without you seeing everything.
Oh.
You can share a certain tab only. Right?
I know, but trust me what I'm trying to do. But now I'm just going to share the fucking screenshot. There we go. Open the screenshot, share the screenshot. All right.
There we go.
Look at this. Birmingham, Madrid just happened. Hamburg, Poznan, then Paris. Is that Mexico City, I guess?
I think so, yeah.
Paris, Mexico City, Manchester. A 3-dayer in Dublin, Beijing, Chicago, 2-dayer in Valencia, Spain, Dallas, Hong Kong, London. That's what? How many weeks is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
December.
Yeah, it's basically just November, December.
Insane. And we're almost through October. Yeah, that's a month.
Right. And then right after that, Stockholm, Anaheim, Marseille, Frankfurt, Melbourne, back in Manchester. I mean, this is nuts, dude. It is about to get cooking. AZ Bev says Yana, Simone, and Beatrice and Ansha not in the same heat as Rebecca and Ida, and to which Ugly Dave and I say, of course they aren't, because why would they bother to fix that?
Ugh. Just. But you know what? There is hope, because, like we said, it took them forever to figure out to go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe this is next.
This is next. This is the next thing to figure out. The next logical thing to figure out. I think they'll get it. I hope so, because it doesn't seem like a difficult task. I'm not a computer guy, but it seems like you should be able to order these times pretty simply. You know, like if we can do it before the event to complain about it, they should be able to do it before the event to organize it.
To complain about it? Did you say complain?
Right. About it.
A lot of Canadian came out there. Hey, did I ever tell you how Canada got its name?
Go ahead.
They put all the letters in a hat and they pulled it out and they go, all right, what are we going to call it? Well, CANADA.
You got to work on that A.
A?
Do we want to jump into this note I left about Francesca St. Moore that I put in our notes?
Yes.
Look, I'm on page 12 of 13 going through these names.
Okay, so we got to stall one more page, man. You got to stall one more page.
All right, I'm going to talk about this. Was anyone else told to skip ahead to station 4 when they arrived at sled pull? I was in the 1240 women's solo wave. Sled pull was full when I got there, so the judge at entrance was directing us to go to 4 and come back. I did this and then got a penalty. Cry face emoji. Dave, what do we say? Selling too many tickets? Question mark.
It is selling too many tickets, especially that early on. Like, it's one thing to be overcrowded on the wall balls because you can have so many people passing people in previous heats, but you're talking was that the sled push?
Station 4.
Station 4?
No, they said sled pull, didn't you? You just said sled pull.
Was anyone else told to skip ahead to station 4? So yes.
Okay, so skip the sled pull. So this is 3 stations in. They're already overcrowded.
So are they just running the heats too quickly back to back? Do they need to put 12 minutes in between instead of
too many people in the heat and too close together? I mean, it's just like I said before. I mean, I'm glad they're successful, but they're overselling the events, and this is a cause. And
we don't know what their hard stop numbers are at sellout. We have this guess of like 25 to 3,000 a day, right? Depending on.
I'm pretty sure it's 3K a day for most races.
Right. But so what do they sell? Because they know they have these massive no-show amounts, 20% probably, and they're not turning that money away. Right. So they're not selling 3,000 exactly. So I'm curious. Give me time. I don't have enough sources yet. Give me time and I'll eventually figure out what their actual per venue, because they hold some back for VPs and VIPs.
There's 2, I think, simple solutions. The first one being it is oversold. So if you want to sell that many, you have to extend the day, meaning you have to have less people in each ways and more time between. The other one is to organize the event so that you have your faster runners running first and slower runners going throughout the day. So that way your slower runners are not overtaking your faster runners and you're not getting that logjam. You're not getting the overtaking, which causes the bunch up in each station.
But how do you do that?
Do you think that there's a problem with people like being like, oh, my friend's in this heat, so I'm just going to sneak in and run with them?
I don't know. Aren't they pretty good about the gatekeeping? They have somebody there.
The ones I've been to, they've checked my band every race I've been to make sure I'm in the right wave. So I'm assuming that that's par for the course. And that's actually something I think they do very well.
Yeah.
So
like an OCR, you could always sneak, but this is a lot harder. Because there's not even like you can go around the start line in OCR, but for HYROX you can't sneak in. You've got to go past 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, it would be difficult. So I think it's like I said, you organize the heat, the waves in one of those 2 ways: fast people first, going through slower by previous times or whatever you can to do so, estimated times, or less people.
So how many sleds do they usually have? 30, 40? Like how many are laying in a row usually that they would actually be full?
I think it's 30. I think so. For most of the open waves, it's got to be about 30.
Can you make your font much bigger? Yeah. Larger?
Is that better, or you want me to keep going?
There you go.
So I broke it up. These are the names that I recognize. So I'm sorry if there's people. I just quickly went through. On the men's side for Poznan, Charlie Botterill, James Luray, Sean Noble, and Eric Woodard are names that I've recognized from previous races or that I've ran well before. On the women's side in Poznan, you're looking at Alina Wilnow, who is now known as Alina Brower, and Lucy Proctor.
I'm impressed. I think you did pretty good to find those.
And then Hamburg, I didn't recognize any of the men's names, but there's 7 women. So if you're looking at like who should be in what heat, these 4 men should definitely be in the first heat of Poznan. These 2 women should definitely be in the first heat. These 7 women should definitely be in the first heat of Hamburg.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like those 7 women are all Elite 15 threats.
I would be surprised if the top 3 at this race did not include if anybody out of these.
So
7.
how hard would it be? Especially because like they know these athletes. These are the German athletes. Like, hey, let's get them all in there. And oh, by the way, Ida's here. Let's throw Ida in there.
Yeah.
What's Eric's best time? Is he a sub-hour guy?
I think he's gone around an hour or right below an hour before in Europe.
Go to high result, Dave.
That's good enough for a first wave.
I was just curious. His name wasn't super familiar to me. I was going to try to educate myself and the audience.
Here, I'll pull up high results real fast.
I'm just dazzled by Anthony's computer.
Me too.
Why is that?
I don't know, because I can't do that quick. It's not my skill set.
Here's Eric Woodard.
That's a lot of races.
Yeah, he's got a lot of races. He got an hour last year in Stockholm, an hour in Amsterdam.
You can just type in best if you just
there
go to
the men's Maastricht European Championships 56.
56.
That's open men.
Oh, okay.
Open men. So he's right around an hour guy.
Yeah,
but
he's
that's still heat 1. Yeah, that's
he definitely deserves heat 1.
Almost anybody like under 65 in the men is a heat 1.
Like he's won races before. That's heat 1.
100%. That's an easy heat 1.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll get there. Hopefully they'll put him there. Yeah. So you didn't really elaborate that much, Matt, on the whole situation where that girl, she went to the.
But here's the question: if they oversold it, but it was only a problem on that day, like it didn't happen the other day. So it just seems like a lot of things have to go wrong for that to happen.
But do we know it didn't happen on the other days?
Well, I feel like we'd see it a lot more. I mean, if you go to at the end of every race, Greg from Rox Life and the Rox Tickets guides always post, hey, who went? What's the good and the bad? And you kind of see the same complaints. You know what I mean? But I don't think we saw like everyone say that. Just other people go, oh yeah, that happened to me too.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, it is very curious that would happen so early in the race. And I like you say, I wonder what kind of mystical forces work that out.
Well, I mean, this is again, we're back to this question of participant versus sport, right? And I think Tough Mudder learned kind of early on, like most people didn't really care, like because Tough Mudder is like a day with your friends, right? And I'm at this big line, but it's a hot day. I'm getting to chill out. I'm resting my legs. But at Spartan, you can't have lines because we're competing, right? So Warrior Dash, same thing. I saw some massive lines at Warrior Dash. And sometimes it might be bad enough that people don't come back. For the most part, it's like, whatever. We stood, you know what I mean? Like people don't even pay attention. Like if I'm at a Tough Mudder or Warrior Dash, I would be telling people like, hey, you can move up now. Because like they're not even looking anyway. However, this event, whether you're brand new or a veteran, you're probably going for a certain time, and being told to wait is like bizarre. It's like, what? Go to this section again. And then especially if they penalize you, you go back, and then that makes them look even worse. Like, you told me to move, dummy.
Yeah. and we did have some ones from Toronto where they had that waiting area where I've shown where on the people's times it's like 53-second time adjustment, and it's like referee's discretion or something, where they got a bonus 53 seconds because they had to wait in a corral. Which, I mean, I've gone through that before, but it's just that's just unfair in so many ways, especially when I saw it happen to elites. But yeah, I mean, that's the fact. It just seems oversold to me. The whole event seems oversold, and that's why the lanes are so crowded. You're getting things like this coming back, and some people are losing their experience that we were getting before because it's just so many people. I know they're trying to alleviate it by going more days, and that's great, but maybe they have to cut back what a sold out day is.
But that's the thing. It's like, we want them to be successful. We want them to grow. So we got to have them figure that out.
Yeah. But this is growing pains, right? It's have we bit off a bit too much here? And maybe a sellout's not 3,000 for a day. Maybe it's 2,800. It's not like go back to 400 people. It's, maybe we have to cut back a bit for those, or, because these events that are held in these things where they are repetitive around a track, you have a finite limit. You cannot go past something. OCR was much more open and capable to house more people because you had a 5K course. This is at most times a 300-meter course.
Right.
Only have so many people. So it's finite. So the only way they can build more money is to extend the days, because you can't just keep putting more people through. You're just going to destroy the experience for people. And that's why it seems like they have kind of reached that max and maybe need to cut it back just a little bit, especially on certain venues.
D Novak says, sounds like the perfect storm for me for what's Tavdo to happen.
I think he just meant for that to happen.
That to happen. I speak that language, Dean. It's not your fault.
Yeah, and then our friend here on his kids account says 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. is already a long day. It's hard to extend it more. Yeah, like you've got the final wave going off at 8 something. You've got an awards at 9:30, 10. It's like, what are you gonna do? Start at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., like run it in 2 shifts, like it's a 24-hour event?
No, hey, I'm on board. I say the answer is less runners, but business being business, they want as many as they can get. So that's why I say I think they've reached their limit for what a day is and actually have gone beyond it. And they need to cut that back a little bit in order to maximize people's race experience and not have some of these issues.
Did you find anything else out, Anthony, while we were doing that? Because I have another topic to bring up.
I was just, if you wanted to look at, so we know between Hamburg and Poznan who's racing this weekend. So in order for anybody to crack, this is the last weekend they could crack into Hong Kong. So in order for anybody to do it, it doesn't look like anybody on the men's side is going to be able to. The closest person is going to be Sean Noble, based on who we saw racing, but he'd have to run like a 55:30 to have a chance, and that would still put him just outside looking in.
Right.
On the women's side, you actually do have some stuff that can happen. So Alina, we saw she's racing. She basically needs to cut off 9 seconds or 10 seconds in order to get in, which means that she has to run like a 103.23.
That's doable.
Or better. Right. So she'd have to do that. And then Lucy Proctor is on the list here. So she's down here. She would need something like a 103 flat in order
Simone's
to break
right
in.
there. Simone's above her.
And well, those were the two from Poznan. So the rest of these are from Hamburg. Simone Feld also would need about a 102.30, 103 flat to break in. Andre Hardez, I couldn't find her. I thought she was on here somewhere. Oh, she's down here. So she needs like a 102. So probably not, but she can get close.
They could still bump up, maybe get into that top 20, maybe get into that roll down area.
Exactly.
And that's the same with Sean Noble. You say he needs a 25, or a 55, but what if he runs
that's to get him. That's to get Sean needs a 55:30 just to get into the top 19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a good thing these courses are identical because you just race a good time and you're in because
like Rebecca Nader is going to get another time. Ida's interesting because Ida already has one good time, we know. And so she's already put it up. So really anything better than the 106, she actually doesn't need a fantastic time. She needs like a 104. Will put her in to the top 15.
Yeah, that seems very attainable for Ida.
And that seems absolutely attainable for her. So just looking at like the men's side is pretty set for Hong Kong. The women's side, I mean, I'd say these last, these 4 or 5 spots here are pretty wide open.
I want more new people. I want people that we haven't even heard of yet. Drop in, crush it. That's what I want. More new people.
On a related question to the course thing, will the doubles championships show that simplistic qualifying format is the way it should work for everything?
I don't know. I think the doubles format I think is neat, but I think it'd be better because I like the majors. Like everybody likes the majors, right? Like
it's still a major.
You have to race your way into world championships. But what if?
But that's what the doubles is going to be.
If there's 10 or 12 spots, say you only have 3 auto qualifiers, so there's 12 spots. Why don't we just say, okay, if you want to race in this major or this major, you have to place top 4 at this event. There's 12 spots. Here's the 3 events, 1 in each part of the world. You race it, and if you're not an auto qualifier, you have to be top 4 at this event in order to go to the first major, and that qualifies you for your major, so you can qualify for worlds. And then, I mean, then you have the big events. People won't would that take away people running these other events for times because time would be insignificant then, and you have to actually qualify to race a major to qualify for worlds?
It may take away from like 200 people.
Yeah,
because everybody else is not interested. Like from a race perspective, everybody else is not interested in the qualifying times for Elite 15 because they know they don't have a shot. So let's just say it's 100 people max that matter.
Doing that, you get back to the whole thing of like, well, you kind of take away from any rookie that is looking to break in because then they have to go to a specific race. It can't be like somebody unknown, like, oh, I'm going to go try this out because it's in my neck of the woods. Like say Joanna, for example, she tried it out because it was in her hometown, right? She goes and does it. Belle goes and does it because it's in her hometown.
Right.
But if it's not a qualifier for worlds or a qualifier to get to the majors, it's like, okay, well, that was fun. I don't know how I'd do at this race that I'd have to actually travel 9 hours for, 5 hours for. So
my plan is like the doubles. You don't need to qualify for the major.
You just show up to it.
But then you're gonna have a Toronto situation where somebody from the back heat wins, and we want to see the live stream and everything.
Very, very rarely will that happen, especially if you organize the situation properly. If you take the top 15 times previous, like you still organize it just like the Elite 15, where you can still put those people into the first wave plus 15 more, therefore getting like the top noted 30. If you can't pick the top 3 out of 30 people on there, then and someone comes out Cinderella story from the back, so be it.
Just put Marcus Wallace in the race, let him race from heat 5, boom.
That's right.
Clearly the way to go.
But yeah, this way, and like I said, with the doubles, it'll show that it's just a simple system that would work.
Oh, I don't think I've looked. Hang on one second. Before I would go to our next top Berlin airport guy. Hey, he proved he had it, man. I gave him his flowers already. Yannick proved he could put in a good time.
He did really well head to head with those guys. He was awesome.
It's going to be fun to watch, and it's too late for Hong Kong, but it'll have a lot of impact on the Vegas race. Chicago is going to be a fun race. I'm excited to see the lineups for that. Like everybody's going to go because there's a lot of Elite 15 or at least the top 40 names already on the list that are aiming for their spots.
There's going to be a lot of hopefuls at that race, and that will be a lot of fun to watch.
And the question is, like, how crowded is that course going to be? Because Chicago can be fast if you don't have a crowded course,
Yeah, it's been a good venue. When I was at Chicago, I was like, it was not slow. It was solid. And like you say, you hear so many names. I think we're going to get a lot more familiar North American names going out there, which for us will be nice. But yeah, all these races will have the effect on the majors, definitely. Just hopefully they put everybody in the same wave so we can watch them race each other, even though we won't be able to watch them race each other other than somebody doing a back live stream.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about then, Marcus? You're going to call out people. You got to tell us who you're talking about.
Robin.
All right. Can we talk about the biggest controversy of the weekend that I almost forgot about? Does anybody want to talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Okay, what is it?
Hey, apparently somebody pushed or slapped or punched a judge. I have heard this from several people. They posted, we're looking for video of this person. Marcus is now giving me shit. I'm a big believer in like, hey, let's get the facts. But the people that I've heard it from trust the people that they heard it from. Dave said, let's call this guy out by name. I said, all that's going to do is bring out the craziness of the internet.
Cool.
I don't think we need to name him publicly. I think HYROX needs to know who he is and not let him in again. But I disagree that we need to name him on Facebook, Dave.
I don't think you can. Isn't there like a UK legal thing? Like the police haven't released his name yet. So
is it been to the police?
Well, it could very well be assault charges. I mean, that's a scenario.
I thought that was something that was happening, but I mean, not that you'd want to vilify. Like, it's unacceptable that anybody does it. Like, you shouldn't push or hit or anything a judge, especially if, like, I don't know what you guys heard, but I heard it was just like he got a penalty on the burpees. Maybe there was some talk beforehand that happened or something else, but the only information I had was he got a penalty on the burpees. He was told to move back, and he shoved the judge out of the way. Judge falls over. Then it's like, okay, well.
So even if he hadn't fallen over, it's still not cool. The fact that
you shouldn't put your hands on.
Well, you also shouldn't. You also shouldn't turn to the judge and say "fuck off." But they let Sandy do it in the middle of an event. So I think that,
and they have a rule against it now, though.
What was the rule before?
There wasn't one, but now they have that rule about like any.
I think you could have guided that Sandy one in under that sportsmanship rule.
Yeah, easily. They didn't need a rule for that. But
anyway,
I think
I get what Anthony's saying, though. I get what he's saying. But yeah, this I heard similar to what you heard, Anthony, except I heard there was a slap and then a push.
See, that's why we don't know. That's why I'm like a little too quick to say like, oh, I heard this guy fucking stuck his finger up this other judge's bum and then punched him. So it's like, can we find out what actually happened?
That's a bad date gone. That's just gone wrong.
So I think HYROX needs to not allow him in. And you were saying, well, yeah, but the other events need to kick him out too. And it's like, right. But
so my thought was, do the other events, like for example, like DEKA, do you consider it? So he let's just say for argument's sake, it is what we've heard. He assaulted a judge in whatever manner.
Finger up the bum.
Exactly. That's what happened. So let's just say he assaulted the judge in some manner. So HYROX move, quite possibly, and to me, justifiably would be like a ban. If you ban him from that, does a different organization like a DEKA, like a Dirty Dozen, do they say, we're going to honor this ban because we don't want this guy at our events either?
Well, they can do that, but they can request it. It's not let's post him on Facebook, because then it does. How do you know if it even got to the DEKA or Deadly Dozen registration platform anyway? You see what I'm saying? Like if I'm Deadly Dozen, I might reach out to HYROX and say, hey,
yeah,
I heard this happened. I trust your judgment. Can you pass along his name to me? But I don't think we, the internet, need to out him, because all that's going to do is have people say horrible shit and be like, I'll kick his ass when I see him, and all that nonsense that happens on the internet.
I agree with you there, man. Like we don't need to like vilify and put somebody on a plate. Like, but he should be banned from any more HYROX. There's bad eggs everywhere, right? So, but he should be. You do that to a judge, and if that's what happened, like we don't know the whole situation. Like maybe I don't know, and
we're going on the assumption
that somebody like didn't like the penalty and assaulted a judge. Okay, you're banned from the competition. You don't get to do it anymore. You lose your privilege.
Right. You know? Even if you had the worst day of your life, even if whatever, right? You still like, sorry, you're done.
I'm sorry, you're done. Like that fits it, you know? Now, if there was something else, maybe the guy shouldn't be a volunteer judge anymore too. You don't know, right? You don't know what happened leading into it. But if the fact is that somebody pushed and assaulted a judge, they're done.
Yeah, even if the judge was making the most ludicrous, stupid calls going, it's not. There's no excuse to physically assault someone.
And that's exactly like if the judge was making a terrible call and this person like didn't know the judge was talking to him, the judge, and I don't know if this happened, if they go up and put their hands on the guy and say you need to go back because he's ignoring the judge, then the judge shouldn't put their hands on the athlete either.
Right. And this is what I was saying with that whole thing about DEKA, with how do you penalize someone that dropped the ram? Do you go back? And if you start to touch them, you're putting your hands on them. That's my whole thing about that too.
Well, no, the DEKA thing, if they drop the ram or they drop the dumbbells or things like that, that's a safety issue. You could hurt another participant. They get a penalty. And you can just assess that at the end, tell them, hey, you have a penalty. There is no making up for it. You did it in the moment. So
right.
That's actually one of the few things that I've gone on record and said I will look at video review for safety violations.
Yes,
safety violations can absolutely be video reviewed.
But it hasn't been found, at least that we know of. But I mean, like I said in our private chat, it's like, you know, if 500,000 people are doing these events a year, which is where we're headed, like you're gonna see some crazy stuff. You're gonna see some unhinged people. You're gonna see some people make some employees make the wrong thing. Some volunteers say or do the wrong thing. And
that's why we need to crucify him publicly so no others make that mistake.
Well, we just need to put out a weekly show. We just need to put out a weekly show that's, you know, 60 to 120 minutes long every week that talks about these things. That's all. Just hold people to the fire.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I think the biggest takeaway from anybody is it's never okay to assault a judge or another athlete or anybody else in the competition. It's a freaking race. It's not a fight.
You shouldn't be putting your hands on another competitor or a judge. Same thing in the reverse in any of these competitions. If like that's why when the DEKA came out and was like, oh, I like seeing it be like WWE or the thing. It's like, no. Don't people get hurt.
Very bizarre take from our friend Yancey on that. I'm trying to think the only times I've like lost my shit at a race, and it's when something happened to me. 2 separate times I had volunteers in Spartan when they used to have the hose man like pointed at my head, like into my ear, and I've turned to the guy and been like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know what I mean? Because it's you can spray water on people. And then if you point that much pressure into my ear, that's not cool. And I've yelled it very loudly at 2 volunteers that did that on separate occasions.
Back when they had the Spartans, they used to hit you with the gladiators. They used to hit you with those things. I saw like I'd have got mad, but I saw one where like, dude, full baseball swing and another guy at the same time as somebody was coming over. One guy, they're jumping over the fire. One guy goes for the head to hit him. The other guy goes for the legs. The guy like falls forward. It's like, why would you? I'm glad like they took those away. Like it was fine when they would just like tap you, but when they like full swing at you, that was different.
Well, the whenever I talk to anybody, they always said it's good to meet the people where they are, right? So if someone's like just happy to get finished, just let them go. And if some bulldog comes at you, you kind of give them.
And where they're like, yeah, hit me, you know, that's fine. But like if some competitor, I just remember, I think I was at the Arizona race in like 2014 or something. It was one of the last ones I had it. I just watched some guy get decked and leveled.
Right, because it's just some random volunteer with a thing.
The pugil stick, just whack.
Dave, you did those. You go back a ways, right?
Yeah, I did. They were there my first ones, and it's never been something that I thought was a good idea. I was really glad they took them away.
Isn't that why you started the Everyday OCR podcast, or what was your first podcast called that I found the other day?
No, that was like the Mud Brothers.
The Mud Brothers.
And I was actually probably after that anyway. But it was, I was never a fan of the gladiators. And I remember it was a couple of years ago, they talked about bringing them back. And I was like, you moronic thing. I think obviously that was just to make some post noise, get some engagement. But anyway. Yeah.
All right. At Todd Sholos. Back to HYROX. What about earning points for the podium? Top 5 or top 10 at non-majors earn you spot into the majors.
Yeah, but then what people are just gonna be traveling all over, and it's gonna be like volume of races instead
of pay to play.
Yeah, pay to play.
It's a neat idea, but it can become pay
but
to
you
play.
Still have to get on the podium. You're not just getting points for like when I did the Spartan series and I came in 50th because I did the Ultra Beast that year and nobody else did it. You still have to podium, right?
You still gotta be good, but you might keep out the best.
Yeah, you might keep out the best, because what if somebody gets a first place and then somebody else has been to like 30 races and got 5th at all 30 races? Then, you know.
Well, then they just need to get out Jack Bauer's stats and do percentage of winner. Super simple, right?
I like percentage of winner.
Right, percentage of winner, percentage of world record.
I have a little different one than that, but that makes sense.
Are you following Crash Crucible guide.
What happened to the Crash Crucible?
Oh, they have an interesting point system.
We could talk about it. They're adjacent. They're hybrid adjacent.
I don't know the whole system, but you can actually end up with negative points. And it did happen. So it's an interesting system. It's got to do with like where the first place person comes and then where the fifth place person comes, and they draw a line on a graph. And then
you know about this, Anthony?
What
he's talking about?
The point system. I think they call it the P score.
You're Mr.
I always look at it like I like first place being, fight for first. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing a point system, you do first place is 110 points, and then second place is your 100 pointer. So if getting first place, that way, if like first and second are barely apart, you get bonus points for placing higher, right? But second place is your 100%er, and you do percent of winner based off the second place spot.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. And we talked about this before, and I remember I went through some of the it might have been the game, some of the games competitions, and it made it much more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to score, I think. But
yeah,
but you'd have to find some point in there where there's a zero score. So like, is it down to 20th? So you have to do percent of winner, but this is 0. So then the scores like level out. Because otherwise, like if you have a really close race, for example, Amsterdam, you have like the first place and then percent of second place, right? But then you had all those scores on the men and women's side that were so close to each other. There's really no difference, but there's got to be a bonus for like placing higher. You beat somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So if you do it from, in that race, for example, it would be 2nd to 15th. And then you do percent of winner based on score of the difference, not score of.
See, like, I'm like already falling asleep. I just like, let's go. 1, 2, 3, go.
You don't need to be awake to understand the scoring system. You just need to be awake to watch the competition.
Yeah.
I just want to see who wins. Just first across the line. Hooray, you won.
But it would still be that. That's still that.
We were talking about something, and I had something I wanted to bring up and talk about, and I just completely blanked on it a minute ago when you were talking about Crash Crucible. So
sorry. I'm
trying to remember now, and if I think of it, I think it would be a good topic here.
It's probably Dave's fault.
I'll take that. I'm fine with that.
It could be.
Shoulders are broad. I can handle that kind of thing.
All right. He said that Houston Texans 94 says P scores based on the first place and median score.
There you go. Something like that. It's an interesting concept. Yeah, I think there's like any scoring system, there's pluses and minuses to it. But I think it was engaging. It was different. It rewarded really, really high-end performances.
If you're up by 1 with a minute to go, Dave, do you go for 2?
Football? Are you talking that? That's like hockey on grass, right?
Yes.
If I'm up by 1, do I go for 2? How much time is left?
Like a minute left. So if you go up by 2, so if you go up by 2, they can only tie it with a field goal.
Yeah.
No, if you go up by 2, then they can beat you with a field goal.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. You're up by 1. If you go for 2 and you make it, they can only tie it on a field goal.
Right. Yeah. So that's exactly what you do, because an extra point doesn't matter.
Being up by 1 or being up by 2 is no different.
Yeah.
But being up by 3 is different.
I did just watch. There's a new I think it's Netflix series called Game 7 about some of the best Game 7s ever. And the first one is Yankees Red Sox 03 when Aaron Boone hits the home run on the bottom of the 10th or 11th. And then the second one is Gretzky versus who did they play? Detroit in what year was it? It was really good. I know you're a big hockey guy, Dave. So, they talked to all the players. They talked to the guys that were making this documentary around the time. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I'm not even a hockey guy, so go watch it.
Did you see the Game 1 of the World Series this year was the first one ever to have a walk-off grand slam?
I watched the YouTube video the next day.
I didn't watch the game, but I read the report, the ESPN.
Yeah, but it's the wrong time to hit a grand slam. You want to hit the grand slam when you're down by 3.
Well, I mean, it was, what was it, extra innings, and they were down by 1, and he hits a grand slam.
I know it's a waste of a grand slam. You want to get all the bang for your buck. Wait, look who just
went for the bunt.
Sean just entered the chat. Sean, we talked about you, buddy. I don't know why you're up so late, but we're looking forward to seeing you put it down, Sean.
They had
the unedited video, the Zapruder film version.
UK had their fall rollback, so they're actually an hour shorter. So it's 10:40 there right now for him.
That's not true.
Yeah, they had their hour rollback this last week, and ours is next weekend.
That's not true.
Okay.
Hey Siri, what time is it in London right now?
Anthony is turning this place into a house of
In London,
lies.
England, it's 10:40 p.m.
You are correct.
I had some of my 1-to-1s today, man. Davey today.
Did anyone watch the Meg Jacoby interview? Says Spin. Which one? She gets interviewed a lot.
I think she did one with.
And while you're here, Spin, we were asking about the Crash Crucible. Where were you when we were just asking about that a moment ago? We didn't know how the points
we can
were.
talk other CrossFit stuff. There's lots of CrossFit stuff going on.
There was a lot of CrossFit stuff going on. I'm sure Spin knows about it.
Yeah.
Well, I get 99. I get 99% of my information from the Spin.
He digs out some amazing stuff. He finds things like he's Hiller calls himself Batman, but he's not. Like the Spin's the detective.
Let's go. Let's fucking go.
And the new Batmans, is it the Butler is not the Butler anymore. It's Morgan Freeman plays who's supposed to be, right? Alfred, yeah.
No, Morgan Freeman plays Lucius.
Oh, is that his name?
Lucius Fox.
Yeah. Lucius
By the way,
Fox.
on the plane, I go through like to or from Croatia. I can't remember which. I think coming back, like what's new. It's like, I haven't seen that. I want to say, if I watch 2 movies in the plane, one of them is probably something I've already seen before. And The Dark Knight still doesn't let you down. Unbelievable. Even on a tiny screen. Such a great fucking movie. Goddamn, that's such a good movie.
Hey, Matt, you don't on the plane, you don't do what Brooklyn told you about last episode.
What did she tell me?
She asked you if you raw dog the plane.
Please don't get me started. Please don't get me started.
By the way, and I told Brooklyn this, Anthony wasn't the only one who had Brooklyn in the rankings. I had Brooklyn in there as well.
Yes, Sean. I know you were watching the Crash Group for the comfort of your own home, but we didn't know the points. We didn't know how it worked. So Spin is doing what once upon a time the Morning Chalk Up did and Armin did. And now, like, if I just want news, right, it's Spin, because Andrew Hiller is just like way too negative for me. I'm back to being off of Hiller. I was on him. I was off him and then on him. I'm back to being off him. Just too negative. It's just too much. I'll start to watch a clip and then I'm just like, I can't with this guy. But the Spin is like, here's your information. Here's what happened. Good, bad, or otherwise. His podcast YouTube show is entertaining as well. What specifically in CrossFit did you want to talk about, Anthony?
Oh no, Dave asked earlier about him and I were talking the age group athletes. You had a bunch of the age group athletes test positive for PEDs. Podium athletes, Sean Ramirez, first one to ever get multiple lifetime bans now.
And wasn't it second and third in that division both tested positive?
Yeah, and so
proving it's always the age groupers that are the worst people. Age groupers are the worst people.
Yeah.
And so my question to Anthony was, and I mean, is when it comes to the over 40, over 45, over 50, do you just say fuck it and let them go?
Yeah, just make it the All Drug Olympics.
I mean, do you though?
I'm asking as a question. I'm not saying that I believe that. I'm asking as a question.
Look, no to the hard drug. No to the other things. If those guys for quality of life though need TRT and they loose, you can maybe in those divisions you say, hey, we'll give you a TUE for some certain amount, right? As long as you're not outside the limits, so you can get back to your normal life. But in those divisions only, and the only acceptable one would be TRT. But the guys that tested positive didn't test positive for TRT. They tested positive for SARMs and CERMs and
good shit,
other stuff.
What's the most, I think, annoying to me? What I said to Spin on a text when I saw the Ramirez thing is Ramirez posted what they all post, which is not only that it was a tainted supplement that they didn't know about, but anybody who knows me knows how integrity I am. It's like always the same thing. It's like they always triple down, always, and it's just like, What
And
a
the one
what a
guy,
head scratcher.
what was
No,
it,
the other guy didn't even
the
appeal.
guy that took third didn't even appeal. He's just like, yeah, you caught me.
I'm done. He's like, got me.
He said Ramirez hasn't been sanctioned yet, still under appeal. But under appeal is what they test the B sample.
Second.
Yeah, it's his
Sort of
third time.
yeah.
He's under appeal because he's probably trying to find a supplement that's tainted that matches what he had. So,
well, let me ask you this though: when people say they only found a millionth of a percent, is that just because you have to be taking a lot of it to show any of it? Like, is it possible that it was tainted with a millionth of a percent? Like,
no,
that's what they all seem to say. That's always their other excuse.
Supplements are possible. Tainted
and that's why
supplements
people
are
go with
possible.
it, because it's a feasible excuse.
But like, and it is possible. You get these manufacturing facilities that they produce. Oh, we're doing this one day, we're doing this the next, and it crosses over, and it breaks the threshold limit, right? They have these limits for everything, single thing. You can have these things, I guess, in you, but you have these threshold limits that you can't pass.
But it feels like if it was that easy, then then everybody would pop, right?
What to have?
Everybody would test positive then.
Not that's why you get all. That's why all the athletes should be getting or do get these sports certified supplements, because they're supposed to already be tested that they don't have this stuff. They're supposed to be guaranteed they don't have this stuff in it.
Sean Noble, first of all, said, if I get a 56 again, will I be allowed on next Monday? We'll have you on either way, buddy, if you want to come on next Monday. I need a good PR now, enough batching. And then he says, in my opinion, a lot of drug cheats in the sport. I think he means our sport.
Well, that was the next question I asked Anthony is HYROX, DEKA, Dirty Dozen, are they foolish to assume that it's not there? Because I've always been one that said it is.
I see in OCR, I said it isn't because there wasn't enough money or like hype to go around.
Money is vanity.
But with HYROX, yes, I think the vanity level is. I'm not saying nobody ever didn't do it in OCR. I'm just saying in HYROX, it's already much more like it's gym related and it's way more likely. So yeah, I think I don't know what percentage, but
I think
there's some.
I mean, there's people that would do it under any circumstances, and there's people that won't, and the people that like I know they're not going to. So
it's not the high end. It's not the elite.
No, I think it'd be much more prevalent in the age group because of the other stuff. But
okay,
as far as like what, I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm always of the opinion like they're innocent until proven guilty. Prove me wrong. That like show me.
Dave's the other way. Dave, if we test,
I don't think they are.
If we test the podium, okay, if we test the first place in every age group in Chicago's World Champs, what percentage of the age group podiums would be tested positive?
I think you'll get some for sure. I think, like I said it before, I think somewhere like when you get in the age groups and stuff, it could be up as close to 35-40% of especially the men.
I was going to say, do you think there's more men or women, or it's equal? I also think
it's more on the men. 100%.
I think it's men too.
It still happens in the women, but 100% more on the men. And like I said, just gym experience, going to the gym, working out with guys who are just working out to look a certain way, and how many of them were taking stuff. And I'm like, if we think that didn't filter into the sport, where everybody knows they're not getting tested.
I was kind of hoping they would test it. I was kind of hoping they would test in the major. I'm a little disappointed.
They were supposed to. They're going to in Hong Kong.
100%.
That's what I've heard.
Okay, I believe when I see it.
Realistically, what's the test cost? About $5,000? I heard something like
$500 a person ish. Like
$500. That's it. Yeah. I thought it was more.
And they're supposed to. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to test everybody that qualifies for Worlds before they get to Worlds. So I don't know if they're going to go back and in the next event they're going to test everybody.
So then you basically get them twice. You get them at the major and you get them at the Worlds.
At the major and at the Worlds.
I like that. That's an improvement.
But
more testing is better.
Yeah.
I
think there was just like a slip up in Amsterdam where they didn't have it.
A slip up? Whoops, we forgot to drug test?
More as they forgot to schedule it. But the Hong Kong, I've heard they're going to have it. So hopefully they do. I hope they do it at every single major. I hope they do it at the last chance qualifier for anybody that podiums. I hope every single person that qualifies.
Yeah, if you're going to do it at the major, you got to do it at the LCQ, right?
Yeah.
If you're like same difference.
Yep.
And when it comes to like we talked about the guys in the older age groups doing TRT for quality of life. As a guy who competes in older age groups, I don't got a problem with that.
As long as they're within the sport limit, not the natural limit. Like put them, they're allowed to. I think they should be allowed to like go back to sport limits of natural testosterone, because like there's people that just degrade over time. That's just men. We degrade over time, right? So maybe you say like, oh, if you're in the masters category of 35, here's your limits. Here's your limits for 40. Here's your limits for 45, 50. Like
that seems
they shouldn't be excluded. They shouldn't be excluded from
at 70. You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. At 70, you should show up on coke and whatever else you can. Just you're fucking still out there at 70. See, but see, then Spin says then don't compete at all.
So you want to exclude them from their ability, even though they're just within their natural limit?
Yeah, I'm not
very inclusive of you, he says.
Yes.
I mean, but there's a lot of things, right? It's like, some would say that, you're less handsome than you were 10 years ago. Should we like that? Just life is life.
So
I'm just getting better.
I know I'm getting better. I was a much worse person like 20 years ago.
If everyone degrades over time, which we do, then it's level.
Right.
But it's
However,
not.
Here's the problem.
But it's not level because other men degrade at different rates, and they have
but dude, some guys are born like fucking thoroughbreds. There's a kid. Yeah, there's a kid named Flyboy who was at the ninja competition.
That's his name.
Goes by Flyboy at the ninja competition. His natural ability of what I watched him do in the 100-meter race is off the charts. Okay. Now he ended up getting beat because he made a mistake. He still has to do the work, right? He still has to get up early, go to the gym, all those things. But should I be penalized because like I wasn't born with 6'3" and my reach is fucking 80 inches? I mean, come on, dude.
Like Michael Phelps, just genetically, he's made for the sport. Should he be penalized for it?
The TRT thing is different because some guys take TRT as medical therapy. And that's where you'll get guys where it's unfair that they get excluded. So,
what is it therapy for?
And it's antidepressant.
Okay.
What else? Obviously,
if they've had like testicular injuries in the past, like usually they have to take it. If they've had to have testicular cancer or something, they have to take it.
Like you're talking people take it to improve their quality of life, right? And to me, a guy who's taking that to improve his quality of life, I don't have a problem competing against him. I don't. That doesn't bother me. Especially,
what about hair replacement therapy?
You want that? You're a wuss. You don't need that. Just shave her.
Farmer Fit knows who Flyboy is. Farmer Fit's still up. What time is it there? Yeah, Spin. Look at Spin. Just spitting fire. Competing is a privilege, not right. Just spitting fire.
In a mass participation sport.
I'm not saying allow it in the Elite 15 where they get prize money and stuff, but let them compete in their age group.
But age group, you earn a spot to Worlds.
You have the limits though. They can't go outside those limits. So just puts them within what the natural ability of every person in the world could be, because they have those limits set. Dave,
when are you were gonna do a competition, Dave? Where's your comp? And let's get drug testing.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen. Hard. I just, like you say, $500 a person, and I thought it was much more than that actually for the drug testing. I mean, I just, like I said, with when it comes to the bigger events, I don't think HYROX will ever test age group. And with CrossFit where they're testing them, I mean, let's be realistic. If you caught two guys on the podium that were podium favorites that knows there's testing, how many more below them were taking it or worse? I mean, realistically, it seems like a losing battle. Anyway, and I'm against that. So I'm against the hardcore drugs and all that stuff. For regular testosterone therapy.
What about Dave?
Quality of life, I'm okay with it.
What about professional wrestling? Should be able to take steroids.
Those guys should be juiced out of their minds.
Well, I mean, they get thrown around a lot. You know what I mean?
Hogan.
Hey, no. If you're there, you're a professional wrestler. You're an actor, which means you can take as much drugs to look as cool as you like, just like the guys on TV. Okay.
You don't think Zach, what's his name? You don't think that's his natural body?
I don't know who that is.
Zach Efron?
Yeah.
Are you serious? I was just guessing.
You nailed it. Zach Efron. That's what I was talking about. Didn't you see him? Did you see him? Speaking of which, did you see him in the Von Erichs movie?
No, the last thing I saw him in was High School Musical.
Oh, he looks.
Gotta get your head in the game.
He looks like a professional wrestler in that movie, but it's also disturbing because he clearly took a lot of shit. He looks fucked up.
Yeah. Same with when he did Baywatch.
Oh, I didn't see Baywatch. Did you watch the Von Erichs movie, Dave?
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
I think they probably missed a lot of reality.
Well, it's a lot to cover in it's like what, 20 years in 2 hours?
Well, they left out an entire kid.
They did leave out one of the brothers.
I mean,
they did leave out of Von Erich completely, but
yeah. So.
Did you watch the Vince documentary yet?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
There's probably a lot left out of that too.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of shady shit there.
Okay. Do you want to hear my my Vince McMahon impression?
Well, Anthony was asking earlier, so probably.
Do you want to hear my Vince McMahon impression?
Let's do it.
Okay. Ask me what I'm thinking about right now.
Matt, what are you thinking about?
No, Vince.
Vince, what are you thinking about?
Well, I've got 3 computers in my brain, and I got the one I'm talking to you with, and then there's another one, and there's a third one. It's probably thinking about sex. Dave, was that not an actual answer that he gave?
It was an answer he gave. I'm just kind of rating the impression a bit there.
Oh, it's just a grovelly, right? How would you do it?
Oh, I can't do a Vince impression.
Okay. Do you do any wrestling impressions? I started out with a Macho Man.
No, well, I don't know. I probably could, but it'd be really loud and people can't. It's not my deal.
Dave, why are you jumping? Like, I'm trying to, bring a little flavor to the show. Dave. I know you love wrestling.
I haven't really watched. I can't watch it. The dog won't let me.
The dog won't let you?
Yeah, he's afraid of the bell.
Oh,
Marcus is asking you to stop.
That's what I'm trying to help Marcus. I'm trying.
When it goes off,
Sean Noble's trying to create controversy.
Yeah, we're not even going to read that. What Sean's saying. What? So your dog hears the bell and goes woof woof.
No, he gets scared and goes and hides and
All right. What other topics? We're at the 90-minute mark. What other topics do we have before we call it a day here on this final Monday of October, 2024?
I can't remember. I had a great topic and I just don't. I'll remember it as soon as we hang up. But yeah, there was one. Don't remember. It was pertaining to HYROX, but I guess we'll
I can't believe it hasn't hit you between now and then.
I keep going back to it. It's gonna bug the crap out of me.
All right. Well, I'm gonna read you some impressive numbers, okay? And let's see if you can think of it while I read some impressive numbers. There were 4,662 individuals, men's open, men's pro, women's open, women's pro in Birmingham this past weekend. There were 4,379 doubles teams, and there were 99 relay teams for a grand total 13,816 finishers
over 3 days, right?
Over the course of 3 days. When you add spectators, I guarantee you that was over 15,000 people. That's a lot of fucking people.
Is that the biggest event they've ever had?
That is.
I thought I heard they cracked 14 one time.
But
that might have just been, inflated numbers.
London 3 day was 11.4. No, that's got to be the biggest one. Yeah.
I got a question for you, Matt, as an OCR historian.
Yes, sir.
So right now we hear stuff along the lines of HYROX has completely surpassed OCR and all this stuff for financially and all that stuff, right?
Right.
But to me, I remember back in the day, Spartan had, 15, 16,000 people at events. They had an NBC contract. They had Reebok sponsorships. They had all this stuff that HYROX has now. Do you actually think that HYROX has now surpassed it, or is it pretty much just gotten to that even keel?
So this is actually a really good, by the way, I just noticed how dark it's getting. Speaking of the lateness of the year, I'm going to have to move inside in a minute. I'm going to sort of answer your question, okay? Because
that's what I was looking for.
A guy did a video the other day, right? So the move now, if you're not going to make a video that says HYROX training or previous sled time, is here's why HYROX is better than CrossFit. Here's why CrossFit's dying. There's a lot of clickbait videos like that, right? Mm-hmm. So this guy did the Google search. The guy did the Google search. Look, CrossFit's highest search peak was up here. Okay. Now, just for the hell of it, I did that with OCR. But guess what? Google interest does not equal participation interest, right? The years that there were the most people that searched ever, like Tough Mudder, whatever, did not line up with, it was like the first 3 years. It continued to grow for the next 3 years. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if you want to say what were the best years of OCR, you could look at just bottom line interest, right? Like the number, like 2016, I think was probably the highest individual numbers. But like, did they make more money in TV contracts the first 2 years, right? In terms of ceiling, that's what I keep looking at. Why did I start Hybrid Fitness Media? Why are we on this show right now? Because the ceiling is so much higher. If I didn't think it was ever going to get much bigger than this, I would have just kept it as part of ORM. I just see the rocket ship that it is and the ceiling being higher than obstacle racing probably ever was, because it just is less of a one and done, more of a lifestyle thing, et cetera, et cetera. Did I answer your question or not?
Not even close, but that's fine.
Ask me the question again.
Do you think that HYROX is on par with where OCR was, or has it surpassed it?
I don't think it surpassed its peak of 2016 to 19 yet.
I tend to agree. I tend to agree with that. I think it'll take another couple of years.
So, because you saw the same thing, right? In Canada, we're about the same with growth. UK, it was different. They were behind us for a couple of years with OCR, but they're ahead of us on this.
They're ahead of us on OCR now too.
Are they?
I don't know. They seem to have a lot more elite presence anyway.
In OCR?
In the European market?
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they never had money, so they just kept showing up anyway. Our Americans were like, there's no more money, we're done.
Yeah, they got bitter. Anyway, Anthony, what was your topic?
So we talked about age group. We talked about qualifiers. I saw something. I was curious. Why isn't there? Because I coach a guy that's an age grouper, and he wants to go to age group, and it would be so much easier if, like, you know how on the HYROX page, if you go to the World Championship qualifiers, it shows this. Why isn't there like hey, here, go to this age group and I can see who's qualified, see their time, like
super easy. Like, I bet HYROX already solved that problem. Do you think HYROX has it?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So like I looked at HYROX, I didn't see that. Like, why not, if they go to the major qualifications, why isn't it like, here's all the times from this year in this age group, and here's the people that have qualified, like put a little star next to them or something.
Because they literally have to be signed up.
Yeah, right? They have to, I mean, they have to have this. So like, if they had that for the World Championship qualifiers and we could see who's qualified, what their times were, where they raced, like something just like this, but for every single age group. I don't know enough about like programming and how difficult that would be to embed and like here, but I mean, they have their all-time rankings where you can go choose it. Why can't I go do that for World Championship qualifiers for only this year?
I think that would be very cool.
You're just listing the winners basically though of each city, right? Because that's what it is. There's either 1 or 2 spots per city. It
depends. It could be 3 spots. It could be 4 spots depending on the race, right? Like
0.
Birmingham just had a bunch of qualifiers because it was a big race.
And it could be 0. That's one of the reasons people complain like in age group is because okay, I'm going to go to this HYROX race and hopefully going to qual. And then 2 weeks later, they find out, oh, there's no qualifying spot.
Yeah. I want to see who's qualified already. I want to know in the age group.
That makes sense.
That I feel like you could see the size of the age group you're going to compete in. You can see like about what expected time you're going to need to get in order to qualify. Like
you could use that to like put the right people in the right waves together.
Well, like, I mean, all the age groups, should race together. But I mean, it would just make sense if I could go select, hey, who did this person qualify or who's qualified at what times on the page can I do this? Like in the 40 to 45 division for men, about what time do I need? Like, here's the fastest and slowest times you can assume. and it's not going to be the same for everything, but because the courses are different. But I can assume, like, look, you're going to have to at least break 65 in order to make it.
And then you can Instagram stalk your opponents too.
Yeah, exactly. It would help.
Strava stalking, Instagram stalking. I'm going to search everything.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this very special
Halloween episode.
Good catch. Good job.
It does give you those eyebrows. So it's
right?
Pretty good.
What if I have to take special TRT for my eyebrows because my eyebrows are inefficient or in whatever?
I mean, based on the angle of that light right there, you got a pretty big bridge. Look at the shadow it casts upward.
Yeah. It's bordering on Cro-Magnon. It's a lot.
Are you trying to say Cro-Magnon?
Cro-Magnon.
All right, well, listen, the sun is going down here in Atlanta, Georgia. This is time for me to say, if you'd like to get trained by almost all of the Elite 15's coach, you want to check out the Hybrid Engine.
Yeah, you can check us out at the Hybrid Engine on Instagram.
I thought Dave was about to point to his own sticker. What were you doing?
No.
Just do this. Just go like that.
Well, I had to make sure I went to the right side. It's all backwards.
It's all mirrored.
And if you want to
this way from me,
and if you want to listen to Canada's greatest hybrid fitness racing podcast of a guy and a gal, check out Dave and Bethany over on the OFX podcast.
That's where we say the shit that really matters.
I gotta say, Dave and Bethany talking to Gary B from Spartan. Bethany just firing bullets, just getting the truth out there. So go listen to that episode. Anybody you want to shout out for this week before I let you go?
I want to say happy birthday to my wife in 2 days.
Okay.
She's having a birthday in 2 days. So
nice. Well
happy
done.
Birthday.
Get that truck out of there. Good job.
What do you mean?
You were gonna say the age, and then you kicked
bailed on it.
You did good.
He fouled it off. He bailed it. He bailed out. Good time.
It was a check swing. Nope. Oh, I'm not taking that one.
All right. See you later, everybody.
Take care.